You wanted some sunrise, so I thought I'd better give you some sunrise.
But it's not from today, isn't it?
No, that's just a random picture I just quickly found on Google.
Ah, okay.
Now it's still relatively dark here. Well, I say relatively. Pitch black. It's nighttime. Sun's not coming up for at least another hour and a half. All right, my Bagua crew. Let's get into it, shall we? Oh, where's my mic? I haven't put my mic on, sorry. You've got to be able to hear me, don't you? Or I should say, it's not so much about hearing me. I mean, you can hear me through the other one. It's also about not hearing everything else. That's what these mics are great for. All right, here we go. Good job. Here we go. Nope, we want that one off. Now we're good to go. All right. Thursday morning, Bagua General class. Let's move our bodies first. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to move our bodies? Let's start off with something Bagua-y, shall we? Let's start. We haven't done that one in a while, actually. That's as far as I know, it's classically from a Bagua Qigong-y stretch thing. So let's try the teacup. I know other people do it, but I learned it in Bagua, so it seems like a pretty Bagua thing to do. I think you've all done this before. It's a lovely stretch. Just have your palm up like you're holding a little something on it, teacup. Turn it into your center. Turn it around and then lean over to your side. So you're stretching down through here and lean backwards as you spin it around. Bring it round to the front and then take that teacup on the other hand. Take it around and back to the front. Take it around. First thing in the morning, you should be fine leaning as far over to the side as you wish, but I would recommend the backward lean. Don't lean back too far, just because it's a warm up. You don't want to lean all the way back and then strain your back or something. So just lean back to what feels quite comfortable and natural, just to warm up your body. A warm-up's no good if your warm-up completely exhausts you and then you're too tired to do the class. I have done that myself in the past when I've done warm-ups with people and they're all like, "Oh God, I can't fight now." So, yeah, you got to make sure you do your warm-up. That's its purpose, is to warm up. Okay, let's do our knee to elbow trick. Remember this one that we've been doing? I haven't done it for a while. But this one where we go down like so. In fact, let's just start off with a couple of those. But then we'll do the full version, which is the full lone goose breaks from the flock. of the Bagua form. But still a little bit bigger and more exaggerated for that really increased body stretch. So let's just start off with parallel stance, nice and natural. Take your elbow down to your knee, or down towards your knee. If you could only get to here, that's fine, but aim to get it down to your knees. Bending your knees and leaning forward, engaging that glute. My weight is on that leg primarily. Coming back up. My other arm is just squeezing out to the rear, so I'm pinching my shoulder blade towards my spine of the rear arm. Really focusing on that standing glute by leaning forward and bending the knees. And of course, just squeezing your glute. Sometimes they can become a bit lazy from sitting on them all day, so put your mind focus on them. Okay, now keep that going, but this time we're going to start the movement. We'll turn our toes in slightly, just a little bit inwards, so that it's more like how we're doing it in the form. And then what we're going to do is one hand on the top, one hand in the eye. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. Just hold your hands like this, okay? And then still take that elbow down towards the knee. Okay? But it's the underarm, the lower arm, which goes to the knee. Okay? Then you switch your hands, do the opposite. Take the underarm elbow down to the knee. Okay? So that's the easy way of doing it. Switch, down, switch, down, switch. Now this time, as you take your lower arm to your knee, I want you to do a scooping action with your right arm. You see that? Like so. So it's coming from sort of over top of your elbow. It's going to scoop backwards and down like it's scooping into your palm kind of thing, like that. And it comes forward again, so like that. You see? Not too big. Oh, I suppose since we're just doing a stretch, you could do it larger with this one, but the classical way is just here sort of thing, around the sort of on top of the other palm positioning. So let's try that. I'm going to take this elbow down to my knee and scoop this hand at the same time. Now I'm going to stand up into hold the baby. Okay, just like that. So I've still got my weight in that same leg that I went down on, and I've done hold the baby like so. Let's try the other side. So I put my other hand on top, taking the lower hand to the opposite knee, lower elbow to opposite knee. Scoop that top hand, and then stand up into hold the baby. So the weight is sinking even further now into that leg. Because when you go down like that, you probably, I don't know, 60 to 70%, something like that, in that side. When I stand up, see where I've gone? I'm sinking all the way back now into that leg. So let's try that. I've got my other arm, so I've switched. So I'm going to go this way now. Bottom hand is always the one that goes towards the knee. Down, scoop, stand up, hold the baby. Switch your hands to the opposite of what they just were. So just try to remind yourself, I had my right hand on top, now I've got my left hand on top. You could be doing this as a mirror image if you want. I mean, you can do it any way you feel is right for you, but mirror image is going to be the most sensible. Taking it down, scooping, bringing it up, holding the baby. Switch your hands. So the hold the baby, the one that's at the top now, see, just folds over onto the top. Now we're on the reverse side. Scoop that hand, drop it down to the knee, bring it up, hold the baby. Take the long arm, fold it over the top. To the other side. Long arm, over the top. Other side. And then you can start going a little bit further with that hold the baby. Notice I'm not just coming to here now. I'm just turning my body a little bit further to what feels comfortable. And then same thing, I take that long arm back onto the top. Sink it down. Twist. Notice I'm leaning backwards slightly now. I'm not just coming to a hold the baby position like a Qigong. I'm actually leaning backwards towards where the hand is going. And I'm going to twist my spine now, twisting from the core. Okay, so my pelvis is going to turn as far as it can without buckling this knee in. Keep your knee over your toe. It's going to turn as far as it can. Then, of course, the waist turns, the chest turns, and the shoulders turn. So you get a spiral going up through your body. Turning, 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 until you can't turn any longer. And then just let it sort of spring back to the front. And again, that long arm will come back on the top. So we're going to drop down again. Hold the baby. Turning, 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 turning. Leaning backwards a little bit. Turning, twisting. And then just relax it back to the front. Long hand comes to the top. Again. Breathing out and then breathing in here. Breathing out. Breathe in. Breathe out as you go down. Twist, 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 twist. And then just let the natural tension in your waist sort of swing your body back to the front. Let's do that a few repetitions, okay? So, out breath. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. If you start getting into a bit more of a flow, you can breathe out here. And just keep breathing out. You don't need to breathe in again there. If you feel you need to, of course, take an extra breath. But there's my in breath. There's my out breath, you see. Now remember, those of you who know the form, this is not how the form is done. This is a much bigger exaggeration. The footwork's a little different. We're not finishing off the posture. We're coming back to the front to get this repetition happening, rather than normally we'd finish in this stance, let the leg go, and then walk around the circle, you see. And of course, in the form, we don't go so low. We're not doing it just for a stretch. We're doing it for the correct body mechanics of the application as well. You can do it lower in the form if you so wish, but it's not the classical way of doing it. Okay, let's turn that just into a nice twist rather than the dropping. Let's get the standard twisting happening the Bagua way. So that means the yeah, this kind of thing. So throw one hand over the top, and then strike with the rear hand. I'm sinking my weight into the bottom leg, the back leg, and then long hand comes over the top, one, and then the other hand comes out the bottom. So this is the same as doing an outside change when we're walking the circle. We're just not moving the feet. It's an easier version of it. 1, 2. The 1 happens till about roughly halfway through the circle. What? And then the 2, the other hand comes out roughly with the second half of the circle. Okay? So don't do this. It's not just a double-handed swinging thing. It's a cross it over. You see, that gives you the power. 1, and then the other hand comes out, which you should be familiar with. Done all the time throughout the Bagua form. It's also used in the Teiji form. It's just more classically Bagua because it's used all the time in Bagua, whereas it's used, you know, sparingly in the Teiji. It's also used in Muay Thai as well. Of course, they use a back spinning fist instead of a back spinning palm because they've got gloves on, but same movement, same body mechanics. Almost. So really focus on your knees when doing this. This applies to your normal when you're doing your walking and everything as well, but particularly here because you're holding your feet in one position. So really put your focus. I want you to forget about the hands, because the hands can't hurt you. The hands can't do anything wrong. They can go all over the bloody place and they're not going to hurt you because there's no weight on them, you see. Your legs have got weight on them. So if you do something wrong in the legs, you injure yourself. Do something wrong in the hands, nothing happens. You just don't learn the right movements. See, look, I'm not paying attention to the hands now. I'm doing the wrong thing in my hands, but my legs are still staying strong, staying nice and structured. That's what matters. That's the most important area of anything that you're doing, is that the legs are balanced and strong. So put your focus on your legs. You can do that fast or slow. Okay, let's do a little bit of walking. Walking around the circle. Now, yes, okay. All right, so Christine had a question yesterday about the foot placement for the walking. Now, as I said, I will eventually get a circle. Probably just paint one on the carpet, I think. It's the training room. I think we're allowed to paint on the carpet. Eventually, we're going to get rid of the carpet and put down a nice hardwood floor, but that's not going to happen for a while. So, okay. Her question was, where do you place your feet? Like, what alignment are your feet in? You know, is it sort of toe to heel or heel to, you know, toe to toe? What's the alignment? Where should my feet be? So obviously, if you have a circle painted on the ground, I don't think I have anything here that can represent a circle. Oh, yes, I do. Look at that. Perfect. Bow and arrow. Okay, so there's my circle. Oh, okay, it's a slightly smaller circle than I would usually use, but if you can see that, can't you? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so my heel, I hope I don't break Clara's thing now, my heel would be on the circle, okay? That's my rear heel. My front ball of the foot will be on the circle, you see? Like so. Now, the feet are parallel at this point. This is like I've just stepped through. One, boom. Remember I said a couple of weeks ago, or last week, whenever we did the walking lesson, My balance is a bit off here because I'm trying not to break the thing. I'm trying not to put my weight on the heel, so just bear with me while I'm doing this, just to show you the foot positionings. See how it comes inside the circle and then back onto the circle. Remember, I said the foot doesn't go straight forward onto the circle. It comes in and around, like so. So the feet are parallel. Now, when I slip the foot to take my next step, notice the foot straightens up. So the ball of the foot is on the circle at the moment, of the front foot. The heel of the rear foot is on the circle. But that means the heel of the front foot is outside the circle. Now when I slip my foot forward, you'll notice the whole foot's come onto the circle. So my heel and my toe, like the edge of my heel and my big toe, are touching the circumference. Now I'm just going to put my foot just to the side of that so I can put my weight on the ground. Now when this rear foot comes through, obviously it comes through parallel so that they brush past each other. And then, if I move back to here, it would again be heel, so the whole foot, the edge of the whole foot of the rear foot is on the circle. When I'm in the sort of scissor step, it's called, or the closed stance. And the heel would be on the circumference of the circle of the front foot, with the toe being turned in roughly about 45 degrees. Now that will vary dependent on the size of your circle. If you have the standard circle size, which as I told you a little while ago is so that the center is as long as your arm, that point there would be the center of the circle. Yeah, roughly, if you put your foot on the line and then turn your foot in 45 degrees, that's about where you should be standing. Yeah, now I've got my heel again on the circumference. I bring that through, bring the ball of the foot so that they're parallel. Now, so that's with reference to the circumference, if you've got something on the floor to look at. If you don't, and you just want to think like, okay, what's another way of looking at it? Heel to toe, or what's my line? So roughly, yes, when I'm walking around, if it's in an open stance, now again, it depends on which line you're looking at, but if you're looking in kind of like the direction you're going, like you think, okay, this is the direction I'm walking, feel that direction that you're walking in, that sort of line, it's going to be, yeah, if I face you, for example, if I were walking in a straight line, it would be kind of like that. Here, front toe to rear heel, you see, like so. But then when I slip, see the heel comes in, so it straightens up. So now when I take my next step, it comes in. Now if I was doing this to give you a rough idea of alignment, and then you can kind of just, you know, tweak it a little bit to make it go around the circle, but this is the basic idea of alignment for your feet. If I'm in the closed stance, it's going to be heel to toe, like so, front toe to rear heel. Then I straighten up the foot when I slip the foot forward. When I then bring the rear foot through, it's like that. So it's going to be, if you draw a line coming straight out of your big toe of your rear foot, your front heel would place on that line, okay? Like so. That's where we'd be placed. Then, again, heel to toe. Straighten the foot. So I'm going out of frame there. Straighten the foot, straight forward. So heel in line with the line of the toe. So that sort of straight line off that rear toe is where that one would be in line with. Not across the body. You see this? This is an important part about the closed step. So the open step, the legs are quite open. That's why it's called the open stance, yeah? Like that. So it shouldn't, for example, be like this, be narrow. You see, you want to have a nice stance behind you. Another way of thinking about it is if you just bring your feet to a parallel shoulder width and then just sort of swivel on both heels so that you're facing to the front. You see? And I've got that. Like so. So with your feet at a 45-degree angle to where you're facing, that's where you'll have roughly that sort of heel to toe alignment. As I say, I can't give you an exact alignment with these because, yeah, ideally you should have the circle painted on the ground and then the circle tells you where to put the feet. That's how Bagua is learnt. But yeah, then straighten the foot and bring it through like so. So that's your foot placement. But yeah, the open stance should be open, right? Like so. Just imagine, like as I say, if I was standing here and I kicked, that's sort of where it is. Kick, that's where your foot would be placed. Yeah, even though in the circle walking, as I said the other week, it is actually a hook kick, but you can still get the alignment by thinking boom, boom. Straighten that foot, boom, kick forward. But of course the back kick, the foot is turned out instead of in, boom. That's the positioning of the foot, put the foot down. So that's, yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to think about. Kick, drop the foot there, straighten the foot, kick, drop the foot there. That gives you the correct alignment for walking the circle. Okay, let's walk the circle a little bit. We're going to walk around in circles and I'm going to yell change. Actually, I'm going to say change because I have a microphone on and I don't want to wake the kids up as we walk around. So we start here. And if you're not doing the full form, right, you're not doing all of this stuff to bring you in, how to start walking, you just do a little turn to your right, like that, so your left hand sort of tucks under, and just a nice, rather than just kind of starting. I always like to have a nice little, bring yourself into that position in a nice way. It just feels good. Not for any special reason or anything, but it's just nice. It just, yeah, okay, I feel set up now. I feel nice. Then you're going to slip that foot and walk. Slip that foot, straighten it up and walk. Remember the upper body facing into the center. Sorry, that was a bum steer. The upper hand, the long hand, is facing into the center. So there, see that hand is facing to the camera, so there's the center of my circle. The upper body is actually facing halfway between the center and the circle, roughly. Get those hips moving. See the little pigeon movement when the foot slips? Huh? It's not much, it's very subtle. Don't be leaning forward like this, but it's just it's a little head bob forward from the hips, like so, from the pelvis, huh? And then whoop, then you stand back up. You see as the foot comes through, huh? Stand back up, huh? Stand back up, huh? So you go down, you sink lower than the standard height. You sink downwards and a little bit forwards, okay, as the foot slips forward. One. Then when you come forward into that front foot, you come forward, stand up. And when I say up, I mean straighten and lift. So we're back up to the normal height. Of course, don't stand right up and straighten your legs. You're still sunk down, but you're from that normal height, sort of knee in line with toe height. And then you go lower than that height. Then you come back up to your normal height as you're walking. Change. Change. Remember, you always slip after a change. You slip that front foot forward after you do a change. Inside or outside. Whatever footing you're on, you do your change there. Inside, whoomp. Outside, whoomp. Change. 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 So you can still do a change, for example, from here. Now, if I do a full, proper, as I was taught to do it change, from here, I'm going to smash my arm into this wall. Okay? So naturally, I can still do a change and tuck that hand in, you see? I can still get my body to turn. It's not going to feel quite the same, but I did it somewhere over there so I didn't hit the guitar. I'm tucking the arm in a little bit. Everything's a little tighter, and then when I've got the space, I spread it all back out again. So feel free to adapt to the shape of the room that you're in. That's good awareness training. So when you get into a bar fight, you don't go whack and then break your hand on the chandelier or something. I don't know. So it's actually good for your training to, especially your fighting training, if you're doing sparring and stuff. Like Fran and I spar in this room. So it's a very small room. Not only do we have to be careful to not break our own hands by punching corners of walls and stuff, or punching something like that, but also there's the guitars, things like this. So we've got to be very aware of our surroundings whilst still fighting. Unlike that's a difference comparatively to a ring fight. You don't need to be that much aware of your surroundings. I mean, you've still got the edge of the ropes or the edge of the cage or something, which you do need to be aware of. You don't want to end up with your back against the cage, but it's a huge space. It's a big, big space. So you've got plenty of room, change, to move around. Whereas in a little space like this is much more representative of someone attacking you in your home or at the bar or at the shopping center. There's going to be other things around. Someone attacks you in the parking lot, great, you've got lots of space, change. Change. Change, change. Change, change. Change, step, change. 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 Change, change. Always shifting your weight when you change, of course. Change. Change. Okay, a little note on outside changes, just to be aware of. when you're doing solo walking like that, it's good for your balance, for your practice, to do the change at any time, really. So, you know, like we're doing now, someone in the circle yells change, or someone in the circle does a change, or whatever, however you're doing it. Maybe you've got a little ding-dong clock going, so every time it dings, you do a change, something like that. So you're changing reflexes, sort of, but it's mainly just showing that you're balanced enough to do a change at the click of a finger, rather than, obviously, me doing it now. I'm going to be less wobbly than what you are because I know when I'm going to say change. So I'm ready for the change, rather than kind of like la-di-da-di-da, oh, you know, and you get caught off guard. So the idea is to get yourself. I used to do that with Dad all the time, and he'd yell change, and I'd be having to do the changes on the dime. Don't do that when you're doing anything revolving around fighting, okay? So let's say we're doing it with a partner, as in not just walking the circle together, but as in linking hands and walking the circle together. So you can walk the circle together as in you're both doing something separate, like you're both doing the form, you know, and you're both on the circle, but you're both doing the form, you walk in the circle together. That's different. I am my own person, you're over that side, I'm over that side. We're not fighting each other. Circle walking, where your long hand links, you touch wrists. This is now like doing Taiji push hands or Taiji chi sao, things like that. This is the Bagua push hands. It's just called Bagua fighting or Bagua sparring. You know, there's many different names for it, but it is essentially the Bagua version of sticky hands, pushy hands. When you're doing that with your partner, if ever you're practicing that, let's say I'm on my outside change and you're on your inside change. Okay, so let's say person on this side goes whoom, straight back to here, you see? Very short, whoom, precise movement. I'm over this side on my outside leg, okay? Bang. I should not go, oh, he's moved, and respond with, turn my back to him. There's no way. He's acting the first action, so his hand is already coming forward, and then I start turning around. My movement is 4 times longer than his to start with, so even if we moved at exactly the same moment, he'd still get there before I got there. So don't turn your back on someone as a response to an attack. Okay, here he's going to throw the attack. Here comes the punch, and I'm going to turn my back to him. No. If you're responding to an attack from him, or just a change of direction, because sometimes I might not be attacking you with that hand, I might be out of range, but I'm just kind of, oh, what you doing there? Oh, what you doing there? Like, you know, when you're sparring someone, you might be sort of moving around, and then you kind of do a little switch, you know? The other guy's got to respond, because maybe I did that switch to try to set something up. If you don't respond, it means I'll probably get my setup worked, and it means I can land that strike. If you respond, if I change and move my angle, you change and follow me, okay, you've nullified that thing that I wanted to do next, you see. So when we're doing our Bagua walking, if I do an inside change and we're at a distance, well, I can't reach you. So I'm not doing a strike here. This is just me changing directions. But I'm still got my intent on you. If I go here and you spin around backwards, boom, I'm gonna come in and punch you in the back of the head. You see? So don't turn your back on someone, unless it's the only thing you could have done in that situation. So the times we should be using outside changes is either in attack, because you're catching that person off guard, very little chance that person's got of stepping in and punching you in the back of the head. If you're already halfway around by the time they respond, because their reflexes, they're not going to be moving at the same time as you, and coming around with this. We know that because we've seen these techniques working so well in competition. So a lot of the stuff that we practice, we're like, well, you know, I've never used it in a real street fight, that particular technique. So how do we know it works? Well, so many of the techniques from Bagua are used in ring fights. So you can see that from a timing and coordination point of view, they work. So yeah, you'll see the Muay Thai guy, what, maybe throws that feint with that one, the other guy ducks to that, whoa, and comes over the top with that back spinning. That's exactly the Bagua move. It's done in a bit more, you know, this is just the training method. Obviously, we're not going to fight someone walking around a circle like this and spinning. This is just to get the body mechanics, get the balance, things like that. In reality, yeah, you are going to be moving around, throwing your first palm strike out. If they respond correctly to that, as in they do what you thought they were going to do, like they duck their head to there, then their head's right in the right spot, wham, boom, and they get landed with that second one. It's an incredibly powerful strike, and it baffles people. When you spin around, it baffles people. That's really the main thing to it. The other area where you would use that is where your body has been turned against your will. So maybe I've thrown a strike and he's really hammered my arm across and my body's turned. Or I've thrown a kick and my body's turned. Rather than me trying to come back the same way, that will take you longer than getting that kick knocked and going with the flow and coming back the same direction that you got knocked in. So that's when we would use it. But anyway, back to the circle walking. If I'm on this leg and you do an inside change, I'll do one of two things. If I'm kind of already a little bit forward, you see, like this. So let's say I've stepped through and I'm just in the motion of doing my slip. When you do your change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step first. So you do your change. I kind of like cover with this hand. I'll do a little movement, step through, then I'll change. So I don't need to change right away when you change necessarily. If I'm halfway through a step, I complete my step, then I change. And then we keep walking back the other way. If, however, I haven't completed the step yet, so let's say I come, okay, so I'm on this step, but you see, I'm already halfway through the step, but I'm coming into a closed step rather than an open step. If I'm moving into a closed step and you do an inside change right now I'm going to have to go block, step, and then, see, now it's too long until I've done my change. It's taking too long. I'm essentially taking 2 steps before I do it. And again, I don't want to go, oh, I'm already moving forward, step, and then turn my back to him because he's already changed. He's already on me, kind of thing. So what I do in that case, if I've gone, what, I'm coming through with that one, I go, what, come back the other way, see? So you can pull that inside leg back and through. It's very much the same movement as we do in our small sansao, you see, like that, where we drag the foot back. A lot of you know that form. It's just from here to here. It's a little bit further instead of just coming to there. And it's not sweeping around this time, it's coming a bit more through. It's like a reverse Bagua step. What? And then back to here. So you pivot on that rear foot. What? Okay? Sometimes the classics in Bagua are misunderstood. For example, one of the classics say, the weight should always be on the back foot. So that's what the classic says. And then I'm like, there's so many postures which are front weighted. So that's the problem with the Chinese to English translations, or just the way people wrote things. They meant a certain thing, but maybe they didn't. Maybe it's that it's usually the translation into English where the problem is, but maybe they didn't quite mean that. Maybe, in my opinion, and how most people who know Bagua correctly would think about it is, okay, general positioning. You're on your back leg, yeah? Like Muay Thai, you'd say, okay, Muay Thai. Muay Thai is always on the back leg. Yeah, always on the back leg. Unless, of course, you step in for something, like you want to kick someone, now I'm on the front leg. So it's not that you never put your weight on your front leg. It's just your general overall positioning, it's like your neutral position, is back weighted. So Bagua is the same. When we're thinking Bagua fighting, we're thinking, yeah, I'm on the back leg. Taiji is no different. I'm thinking Taiji stuff, I'm on the back leg. That doesn't mean you'd never come into the front leg to deliver certain strikes. So it's the same thing with this, the principle, this comes from Taiji and Bagua, always move forward. Always move forward, never retreat, never move backwards. Again, the translation of never isn't the right translation. It should say something more like, never move backwards if you can move forwards. That's a much better, it's a much clearer. So, someone's attacking me, okay, he's coming in, I've got the option to move forward. If that option is available to me, it's probably in most scenarios the better thing to do. I never want to move clean backwards because then I can't see where I'm going. I'm going to whack my head on something or fall off a step, trip over a chair, or do something like that. So yes, we never step backwards in a fight. That doesn't mean we don't move backwards though, because if I'm somewhere like this, maybe I've come forward, I can move backwards. Didn't move my feet, you see. My body can move backwards, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or if I'm fighting here, I've got my peripheral vision, okay? I guess now, is that moving backwards or is that moving sideways? Well, it's moving away from your attacker. Therefore, that would, in my opinion, be deemed as moving backwards because you're moving away from your attacker. So long as you can see in the direction without kind of looking and then getting punched in the head. But if you can see from your peripheral vision, I can see the punch bag there, so I know I can step to that direction without tripping over anything. So you have to always step where you can see. So, as I say, in Bagua, in the walking, ultimately, yes, if you have the ability to move forward, that's the better thing to do. But if moving forward means that I have to go 1, 2, 3, and then I can stay forward, it's too much. It's not the practical thing to do in that moment. So if I'm there, I'm going to walk. You've got to be able to change your direction as well. Because Bagua is all about, it's the changes. That's what Bagua is. Bagua is the changing palm. So if you can only move forward, that kind of contradicts the concept of the changing palm. Sure, you can change as you move forward naturally, but that's, to me, is not the full compass of change. You should be able to move backwards as well when that is the viable option to do. Okay. So that just give you a little idea there, because quite often I see people doing the partner walking and they're doing a change and then just spinning around backwards while the other guy's punching them in the back of the head. It's not good programming to put into your body. So feel free from that position to do the small sansao sort of swivel like so, and just bring your hand like so, and then slip and move. It's a very nice little movement too. It's got this nice little sort of Bagua snake feel to it. All right, let's do a little bit of the Bagua form now, just flowing through it. At some point in these classes, we will try to go through the whole Bagua form, for those who know it, just like we've been doing with the Yang Chan form, or at least say the first 3 palm changes. In my head, the first 3 palm changes of the Bagua form is kind of equivalent to the first third. So in our Taiji classes currently, we're focusing on the first third in terms of flowing all the way through it. So yeah, at least to do the first 3. But for today, we haven't got a huge amount of time. What we're going to do is we're going to drill the first palm change back and forth, back and forth. Then we'll drill this, if we still have a couple of, we might not have time, but we'll do a little bit of the second if we have time. So let's start from the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Open. Keep it nice and slow. Dig it down. See, there's that warm-up movement that we did this morning. But instead of coming back this time, you of course release that foot and center down into the middle. Walk around your circle. Now we're going to do the first palm change. See, again, just in case you've noticed that, I've adjusted my feet because I don't have space to do the first palm change if I'm over here because of the wall and stuff. So I sort of came to here, and I knew that if I took that step I'd be too far that way, so I did a little adjustment step for the sake of me practicing here in front of the camera, because now I've got more space, okay? So don't think that that's in the form. Coming through, turning out, sinking down, twisting up, and walking. Other side. So we're just going to do that same first palm change again. We're not moving on to the second, we're doing the first again. I feel like this is the better way to flow with the Bagua. As I say, we will do the whole form at some point, but because the Bagua you can't see what's happening because you're changing directions constantly, unlike the Taiji where you're sort of facing the same direction a lot of the time. So it's easy to flow along with the video. Whereas this, you can see me one side, then you've got to turn your back, and then you can't, oh, what's happening? And then you can see me again, unless you can set up two screens, one in the center and one outside the center. That would be ideal, but most people can't do that. So if we do it just repetitively like this, maybe one round you'll see this movement, and you'll get some idea, you'll get some flow from seeing that visually. And then maybe another round, you're standing at a slightly different angle to your camera, and maybe you'll see me do this movement on another round. So throughout the rounds, when we're moving, gradually, you'll eventually have seen each section of the movement. And again, because we're just moving through it repetitively, you might occasionally, for example, I might walk around, and I go, okay, right, so I know he's going to do it when he gets to about there. I'm just going to get a bit quicker. Stop. Maybe just watch that round. And then turn yourself back and walk the other way. So all I've done is a change. All you've done as the student. You just do a change, just back the other way. So you can look at that video the whole time, see the flow. Oh, okay, that's how it should look. Then on the next round, you do it. With that in mind of what you just saw. So we can do that if we're repeating things. If we're going on to the next palm change, of course you can't do that because it's the next one each time. You're not doing the same thing. Apart from that, it's just good practice to repeat one movement over and over again as well. Okay, let's just do, for the fun of it, one round each side of the second palm change. Oh, I love this posture. Such a good stretch, that one.
Okay.
Other side. Walk your circle till your right foot is forward. Turn your right foot out of the circle 45 degrees. Hands come down the center. You step up to 90 degrees and close. All right, how did that feel, guys?
Cool.
Any questions?
Yeah. See when we're doing the first there. There. Is that a slap as well? Or is that just or is it just
You can get it. It all depends on the velocity at which you're doing it. So, oops. If I am doing the form how I was just doing it now, I was doing it quite relaxed. Okay. Now, even when you're doing it relaxed, because the first part of the move, the hand's got a long way to drop. Look. So even at a relaxed pace, you still get that. You get a nice thump on your arm when you do that first technique. The second technique, if you're doing it relaxed, watch. There won't be a bump. Because doing it that slow, I'll do it with the bump now, and you tell me if it looks any good. I'll come in a bit closer so you can see. It would look like this. It feels crap. Because there's no speed, there's no momentum to create that bump. So it feels horrible. If, however, I'm doing the whole thing quicker, then we get, see? So the boom, see, because the hit here causes this sort of bounce in the left arm to bounce off, boom, and then of course the strike of that right arm. See, the elbow moves forward. You see, it's actually more the right elbow bumping into the right. The right elbow bumping into the left hand. So yeah, that second bump would only be there if you're doing the whole thing quite quickly.
Aye. Yeah. Cool.
All right, nice class, guys. I enjoyed that. I like doing some Bagua. Good morning, Autumn. All right. Yeah, class tonight, 8 p.m. Yang Luchan's form, carrying on, learning. What did we learn last time? I think we were doing the steps last time, so we're going to be moving into the posture of Pung and working more on those stepping actions, which are obviously extremely important to your whole form. So we'll be spending a lot of time focusing on the correct way of stepping. Thank you all very much for joining, and I'll see you when I see you next.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.